Good afternoon, everyone, and we will start our fifth session now, and we will go through two sections of our manual, two chapters, as number sequences and differentiating features. So we will start with the number sequences, with the which is the chapter 5 in your manuals. So for the next 40 minutes, we will define number sequences, create number sequences using the setup number sequence wizard, create number sequences manually, define parameters on number sequences, view references, and view history. The setup of number sequence is one of the most important functions in Microsoft Dynamics AX. Number sequence support the automatic allocation of voucher numbers, invoice numbers, and journal numbers for use throughout the system. This section focuses on how to create number sequence using both wizard and the manual process. During the wizard of the manual creation process, number sequence parameters are set. After parameters are set, number sequence references are reviewed and set up. The final section reviews where and when the number series are used in Microsoft Dynamics AX. Now we will go through the following scenario and look at the following scenario during our this section presentation. A Microsoft Dynamics AX implementer is setting up a database and has to set up number sequence. After the number sequence are created, the implementer defines the relevant parameters and then sets the number sequence references. Number sequences are used throughout Microsoft Dynamics AX to increment document numbers as the documents are created. They can be used to number vouchers, invoices, orders, and other documents. Carefully plan the various number sequences to make sure that they do not overlap. The level of control can be set up for each number sequence. This means that some number sequences may allow the user change the suggested number. In addition, users can mark the number sequence as stopped. This helps, for example, if a business wants to use a new series of number sequence for each fiscal year. Microsoft Dynamics AX depends on number sequences for daily transactions. Therefore, it is very important to correctly set up number sequences before processing starts. So the number sequences used throughout Microsoft Dynamics AX, such as customers, vendors, and items, journals, orders, vouchers, and invoices. And we have different control levels, such as automatic or manual numbering. Users can change suggested numbers and activate and inactivate the number sequences. Users can create number sequences either manually or by using a wizard. The wizard creates system-wide number sequences and can be accessed from the basic menu. So I will move to my Dynamics AX. We'll go to the basic and then move to the setup, number sequences folder, and number sequences form. Currently I don't have anything because I'm using the wrong demo data, so I'll change demo data to demo. And go to the setup folder, number sequences folder, number sequences form, so you can see the list of the number sequences. To use the wizard, you just need to click the wizard button. Manual creation is accomplished directly in the number sequences form. Number sequences can also be created directly from individual modules. For example, number sequences for the quotation, customer accounts, picking list, picking slips, and bills of lading are defined on the number sequence tab of the accounts receivable parameters form. So every module in Dynamics AX has a setup folder So let's say accounts receivable setup folder. In setup folder, you can always find the parameters form. In the parameters form, we set up parameters for the specific module. And every parameters form, the last tab is the number sequence tab. So in this form, you can assign the number sequence to the specific items in the module, for example, to the customer account, on-time customer, and so on. And also you can modify the number sequences. So in this tab, number sequences code can be added or changed, or the number sequences form can be accessed to manually create new number sequences. So to open the number sequences form from the parameters, you just need to select the number sequence, right-click on it, and select Go to the main table. And number sequences form will open where you can modify your number sequences. The setup number sequence wizard helps create the required number sequence in Microsoft Dynamics AX. Microsoft Dynamics AX verifies which number sequence have not been specified and only displays these in the wizard. The wizard lets users do the following with each unspecified number sequence. Accept the proposed setup, change names, values, and other setup parameters, remove specific number sequence from the creation process. So to create the number sequence with wizard, you just need to open the number sequence form and click the wizard button. For example, in this form, I already have the whole list of the number sequence required by the system. And if I will click wizard button, system will tell me that the application already has the required number sequence, and it will exit the wizard. So my number sequences are created and I don't need them anymore. If I will move to the new company account, and we'll try to use the wizard for my new company account that doesn't have number sequences assigned. So I could do it in the basic module, setup folder, number sequences folder, number sequences. So you can see my number sequences form is empty, so I don't have any number sequences. I can use the wizard, so I can start by clicking wizard button. We receive the info log with regards to the number sequence and close it. And on the welcome screen of the wizard, we'll just click next button. The standard number sequences that have not yet been set up will be displayed. So I will click details so you can see the full details of my number sequences. And I can press Alt F9 to delete those proposed number sequences that do not have to be set up at this point. So if I don't want any number sequence to be set up, I'll just click Alt F9 and delete the number sequences that I don't want to be set up. Deleted lines are only removed from this process run. They will appear every time that the wizard is run until the number sequence are set up. So when I'm happy with my list of the number sequence, I just click next, and the system will display a list of the number sequences that will be created. So I verify the list and click finish. And my list of the number sequences was created. Number sequences can be modified by altering the parameters. The set individual parameters content defines this. So to create the number sequences manually, we need to again go to the number sequences form, and create the number sequence as we usually create a new record in Dynamics AX by pressing Ctrl+N or using the Create New button. So I create new number sequence, and then we have to define the individual parameters for this number sequence. So at the end of this section, you can find the exercises on page 134. So if you want to try it by yourself, you can make these exercises. But meanwhile, we will move to the next slide, and we will talk about the number sequences parameters. Within the setup of each number sequence, users can set many controlling parameters. These parameters include number allocations, usage setup, user changes, cleanup, performance. Selecting or deselecting any of these options may significantly change the number sequences. Use caution when changes are made to number sequences, especially existing number sequences. So first is set number allocations. Number allocations form the basic structure of the number sequence, such as the name, where it starts and ends, the next number in the series, the format of the unique identifiers in the sequence. The number allocations of each number sequence are defined on the Overview tab of the number sequence. So first is the number sequence code. In the number sequence code field, type a code to identify the number sequence. For example, I would like to create the number sequence for my customer accounts. So type customers and move to the next field. In the name field, we can type a descriptive name for the number sequence, the customer numbers. In the smallest field, we can type the smallest number that can be used in this number sequence. So we'll leave 1. And in the largest field, we can type the largest number that can be used in this number sequence, which will leave 999,999. For a new number series, in the next field, type the next number that will be used. After number sequence has been used, this field is automatically populated with the next number in the series. In the format field, type the format to use to display the number and its components. For example, to indicate the year in the customer invoice number, include the year number in the invoice series, use hash characters for numbers and use AND characters for letters. But in our case, we have the customer account, so we would like to have 6 characters. So we have 6 hashes, which include 6 characters, as we have largest number includes 6 characters as well. Then we would like to have identifier for our customer number sequence, and we add the suffix, which will be underscore and cast. So next, first customer that will appear will have number sequence, which will have 5 zeros, 1 underscore cast. And so on, it will be assigning continuously the number sequences. Select the In Use checkbox to indicate that the number sequence is active. A page icon, so you can see the page icon. A page icon appears in the indicator for pre-allocated numbers in system memory. field if the pre-allocation checkbox is selected on the Performance tab. So let's have a look how to set the usage status. Usage status defines the way the number sequence will be used and whether it is in active use. The usage status for each number sequence is defined under the Setup group name on the General tab. So first we have to highlight the number sequence, which one we want to set up parameters, and then move to the General tab. So under the Setup group name, we have to we can select following checkboxes: Stop, Manual, and Continuous and In Use. Stopped, we can select this checkbox to prevent a number sequence from being used. Stopped and In Use are mutually exclusive. Next is Manual. We can select this checkbox to require users to manually supply the number when a new record is created. Manual and Continuous are mutually exclusive as well. So next is Continuous, and we can select this checkbox to require the system Continuous. We can select this checkbox to require the system to use only continuous numbers. That is, no numbers will be missing from the sequence if this checkbox is selected. Again, Continuous and Manual are mutually exclusive. So how to enable the user changes? Parameters for what changes a user can make to a number sequences are defined on the General tab as well. So under the Allow User Changes group name, we can select the appropriate status checkbox. To a lower number, we can select this checkbox to let the user manually select a lower number in the sequence. This option is not available if Manual is selected. And to a higher number, we can select this checkbox to let the users manually select a higher number in the sequence. Again, this option is not available in Manual if Manual is selected. Next is the cleanup parameters. Number sequence cleanup is a routine that can be run periodically to verify the integrity of number sequences. It is strongly recommended to run this process after power failure, crashes, or other abnormal terminations of the system. The cleanup routine can only be used if the usage status is set to continuous. To run the cleanup routine, we have to go to the Cleanup tab. So first we need to highlight the number sequence we want to run the cleanup. Select the Cleanup tab. Before that, again, we have to select the cleanup to make sure that we have the continuous checkbox checked. On the Cleanup tab, we have to select the Cleanup checkbox, and it's required by system to clean up number sequences automatically. This checkbox is selected automatically when the number sequence usage status is set to continuous. If the Cleanup checkbox is not selected, regularly run the manual cleanup function, clicking the Cleanup button on the number sequence form, which allows the user to manually clean up the current number sequence or all number sequences. So you can select current number sequence to clean up or all number sequences in the system. In the individual fields, specify the frequency of the automatic number sequence cleanup. To specify daily cleanup, type 24. If the cleanup checkbox is selected and the interval field is left blank, cleanup is performed every time that the number sequence is accessed. This can create a significant performance penalty. So to not have performance problems or save your performance, please select number of hours you would like to perform your cleanup. The date and time field displays the system date and time the last cleanup was performed. The next tab sets performance parameters. Users can use the performance parameters to help the system function quicker. Using these parameter settings when non-continuous number sequences are used, the system can pre-allocate a group of numbers and hold them in memory, instead of having to return to the database every time that a number is requested. So, to set up the performance parameters, we have again to select the relevant line on the Overview tab and then select the Performance tab. Use the Performance tab. Select the pre-allocation checkbox to require the system to pre-allocate numbers and hold them in memory. This enhances the system performance. And do not select this option if the number sequence's usage status is set to continuous. In the quantity of numbers field, type the quantity of numbers the system must hold in memory. The next and largest field automatically populated with the next and largest numbers respectively using from the sequence. So if you want the system pre-allocate number sequences, you specify the quantity, check the pre-allocation checkbox, specify the quantity, and system will assign number sequences automatically, which will save the performance. So if you want to try to create your own number sequences and assign the performance and do the cleanup, please try the exercises on page 139 in your manuals on the chapter 5. So now we will talk about the number sequence references. References define where number sequences are used. In the number sequence references form, users cannot add or delete number sequences, but can modify them. For example, a number sequence marked as following another sequence can be changed to follow a different sequence. So you can just, by clicking the reference button, you can see the references for the selected number sequence. So I selected the number sequence on the Overview tab, click Reference, and you can see where my number sequence is used. On the number sequence reference form, select the Follow checkbox to link the selected number sequence to the number sequence specified in the reference that may be followed field. This feature is useful, for example, to require the voucher number sequence to follow the invoice reference number sequence. Users can also view references from the number sequence form. In this view, you can click a number sequence to be modified and then click References. Modifications to reference other than parameters already discussed are made in the specific module to which that number sequence applies. So, for example, on your Trade and Logistics or Finance course, the manual and course will discuss about how to set up number sequences and number sequence parameters for this specific module. Also, number sequence references form you can find in the basic module setup folder, number sequence folder, and references form. So in this form you will see all the references for all number sequences in the system. So now we will go through the number sequence history. The history form displays where and when a number in a particular sequence has been used in the system. In addition, information about changes that were made to a number sequence is captured here. For example, the finance department has noticed a change in the customer account number sequence and has contacted the Microsoft Dynamics AX administrator to investigate. The administrator opens the history form for the accounts receivable customer account number sequence. So the history you can find in the Dynamics AX. Select the number sequence and click the history button. So the history form for the number sequence selected on the number sequence form has information about actions, date and time, user, smallest, largest, and next number in the sequence, usage status, cleanup considerations, lowest, highest, and next number values before the update, user change capabilities, and pre-allocations. So I will close it, and again the number sequence history shows where and when a number sequence is used, tracks changes to number sequence. So now we finish the first part of our session, and we were talking about the number sequences. Number sequences are an important part of Microsoft Dynamics AX. They can be set up using a wizard manually or in the specific module in which they are used. Number sequences can be controlled through the setup of parameters specific to each sequence. This section focused on how to create number sequences during the creation process. Number sequences parameters were set. This includes the number allocations, usage status, enabling user to change number sequence to larger or lower number, a cleanup process to verify the integrity of number sequences, performance parameters that are used to help Microsoft Dynamics AX function quicker. After parameters are set, number sequence references were reviewed and set up. Number sequence references define where number sequences are used. The final section reviewed where and when the number series are used in the Microsoft Dynamics AX. So if we'll have a look at the history, again you can see the full history of the number sequence. At the end of the chapter 5 in your manuals, you can find test your knowledge questions that I would like to ask you to answer straight away after this section. So it's on page 143. You can find these test your knowledge questions. So meanwhile, we will move to our second part of our presentation, where we talk about the differentiating features in Microsoft Dynamics AX. So for the next 75 minutes, we will modify a list using MorphX. Use Enterprise Portal to enter sales order, access SQL data tables, use SQL Server reporting services, review the integration with Microsoft Outlook and RFID, which is radio frequency identification. This section covers some of the features of Microsoft Dynamics AX that set this product apart from other applications. These are features that customers want, that customers like, and that can make a difference in how customers operate their business. Such differentiating features include MorphX, an integrating development environment that has version control management and reverse engineering, Enterprise Portal, business connectors, .NET and COM, optimistic concurrency control, reporting services in SQL Server 2005, application integration framework, integration with other Microsoft applications such as Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft RFID infrastructure. So we will look at the following scenario during our second session. So a Microsoft Dynamics AX sales representative plans to meet with a potential customer and demonstrate the differentiating features of Microsoft Dynamics AX. The customer is already convinced that the application can handle the company's enterprise resource planning needs and wants to see what sets Microsoft Dynamics AX apart from other ERP products available. So first is MorphX, Microsoft MorphX, and this is the development environment in Microsoft Dynamics AX. It's the Microsoft MorphX development suite. MorphX is referred to as an integrated development environment because it integrates many different functions such as designing, editing, compiling, and debugging within a common environment. In most traditional development tools, each of these functions operates as a separate program, each with its own interface. In the application object tree, the developer can create new application objects by using drag-and-drop functionality and by setting properties. To make the developer's job easier and faster, the system has auto settings for all application object properties. So we can use MorphX to modify different types of lists in Microsoft Dynamics. Microsoft Dynamics AX uses a layering system where layers are a hierarchy of levels in the application source code. This makes sure that modifications and additions can be made without interfering with the application object on the level underneath. The concept of the inheritance is central to the system. Inheritance means that what is defined at the innermost level can be inherited by higher levels in the system. Typically, the user needs only modify a single parameter for the whole system to inherit the change. For this example, the sales order entry team wants to view the address and the fax number listed when they are selecting a customer for the order. Currently, they can view the following default information: customer number, customer name, search name, our account number, and telephone number. So if I will move to my Dynamics AX and to my demo company account, select the sales ledger, and in the sales orders, I can try to create a new sales order. You can see the customer account list automatically, lookup list, automatically will appear. So this list by default includes the customer number, customer name, search name, our account number, and the telephone number. The sales order team wants to view the name, address, telephone and fax numbers instead of the default information. So now the customer sales order team asks the developer team to modify this lookup list. So I will create the lookup list and use my application object tree. So application object tree you can find by clicking application object tree icon on the tools menu. So you see the application object tree form opened, and I can expand the data dictionary. Data dictionary is the place where all forms, tables, and all data stored for this current application. So I can expand the tables, and you can see when I expand the tables, there is a list of all tables in the system appeared. So as I want to modify the customer table, I need to find the customer table, which name is cust table. And expand the customer table. Find the field groups and expand the field groups. So you can see we have the auto lookup field group, so where we can modify. So at the same time, we can highlight the customer table, right click on it, and select Open New Window. So new windows with the AOT opened, and now we have two AOT windows. The original with application object tree is the title bar. We have application object tree, and the second we have data dictionary tables, cast table in the title bar. So in this second AOT we can expand the fields node and select the name, address, phone and telefax that was required by our sales team, and we can drag and drop to the auto lookup group field. So now you can see the red line that appears before the cast table indicates that changes have been made but not saved. So we need to save our changes. And also any changes that were made to the tables or forms are displayed with bold type and list the layer that was modified. So in this example, the user layer was modified, and therefore you can see the USR in the parentheses. And it's displayed next to the cast table and auto lookup. So you can see we modified the customer table and auto lookup table, and I have USR layer. We modified them in user layer. So if I will close my AOTs and go back to the sales order, and we'll try to create a new sales order, you will see that auto lookup form is changed, and now we have customer account, name, address, telephone and fax. So I can select the customer account and it's copied to the system. So what is MorphX? Is a development environment, and it has integrated development environment and uses the application object tree. Layers, we were already discussing layers on our first session of this course, and I will just remind you that it is the hierarchy of levels of application codes, and it has the inheritance, so it uses the inheritance principle. So we have other MorphX features that are version control management system and reverse engineering tool. MorphX rich functionality offers users many other features that include version control management system and reverse engineering tool. The Microsoft Dynamics AX application consists of one application object file for each layer. The file contains the following business logic. So the file for the application object you can find in your system in the directory. So in the Dynamics AX folder, application folder, and in the application again folder, and the main application object data, system application object data, you can find in the axis.aod file. So I think it's object the biggest file in the system, and this is, you can see the description, application object data. So you can see that this file is for the syslayer, object for syslayer, as it indicates in the name. If I will go down, I can find application object data for USR layer, and it stores data that I just made modifications in my system. It will store this object data in this file in the USR layer. What is reverse engineering tool? Reverse engineering of MorphX is a feature that enables users to easily retrieve detailed information about the structures and relationships of the Microsoft Dynamics AX business logic and data model. The reverse engineering tool lets users visualize data and object models generated from projects in Microsoft Dynamics AX. The goals of the reverse engineering feature are to simplify collection, extract relationship, integrate and view collections in Microsoft Office Visio as UML diagrams. If you want to create exercises, small development tasks by yourself, you can find the exercises on page 279 in your manuals. Meanwhile, I will move to the next slide, and we will be talking about the Enterprise Portal. The Enterprise Portal provides web-enabled role-based access to data stored in Microsoft Dynamics AX. Using Enterprise Portal, users who have external access to Microsoft Dynamics AX, they can manage documents that are attached to records in the database, search for data stored in Microsoft Windows SharePoint services, use SharePoint announcements, surveys, and discussion lists to collaborate with customers, business partners, and other employees. The appearance of the Enterprise Portal has been adjusted slightly to fit the SharePoint framework and features the role-based setup current users will recognize. So in this diagram, you can see the Enterprise Portal client has access to the Enterprise Portal server, where the Microsoft Windows Server 2003 Internet Information Services is running, and it's used by the Windows SharePoint technologies with Microsoft Dynamics Web Parts and Windows SharePoint Services Web Parts with ISV web parts, and it's based on ASP.NET functionality, and it uses the SharePoint databases and can connect to other external systems using the web services. The Internet Information Services and SharePoint technologies are connected to the Microsoft Dynamics AX client and Application Object Server by using .NET Business Connector. And the client and Application Object Server are connected to the Microsoft Dynamics database. So let's talk about the enterprise architecture. With the SharePoint integration, the Enterprise Portal has been aligned with Microsoft Portal strategy that includes the usage of Microsoft Windows SharePoint services and Microsoft SharePoint Portal Server. Because of the integration with SharePoint, most system administrator tasks for customizing the Enterprise Portal can be accomplished from the browser by using standard SharePoint functionality. So the benefits include the SharePoint Web authoring experience, better personalization, integration, collaboration, and content management, integrated document management, common search, web framing opened up to existing portals. So let's go through all these benefits. SharePoint Web authoring experience. Web pages are created outside the Microsoft Dynamics AX integrated development environment by using SharePoint. By using SharePoint web parts pages. Several new Microsoft Dynamics AX web parts display Microsoft Dynamics AX forms, reports, and menus on the Enterprise Portal side. Users can create and modify web pages on the Enterprise Portal side by using standard web editing tools such as Microsoft Office front page. Next is better personalization. Users can easily personalize Enterprise Portal pages from the browser by adding standard SharePoint pages elements such as discussion lists, announcements, and document workspace. Next is integrated collaboration and content management. Collaboration and content management functionality is incorporated into Microsoft Dynamics AX Enterprise Portal site using the equivalent feature in Windows SharePoint services. Integrated document management. Microsoft Dynamics AX document management functionality is integrated with the SharePoint user interface. Therefore, users can accomplish many of the same document management tasks from the Enterprise Portal that they can accomplish from the Microsoft Dynamics AX 4.0 client. Common search. Users can search for Microsoft Dynamics AX records from the Enterprise Portal. They can also search for documents and list items that are stored in Windows SharePoint services such as announcements and discussions. Web framework opened up to existing portals. Existing web portals can use Microsoft Dynamics AX web parts and that way use the Microsoft Dynamics AX web framework. So, and you can see on the previous slide, this figure provides a logical overview of a Microsoft Dynamics AX system with an Enterprise Portal server and illustrates how communications flow within it. So let's have a look at the Enterprise Portal in real life. So I will move to my image. So my Enterprise Portal is already started. I'll close. So I will just go home. So in this section we will provide an example of creating a sales order using the Enterprise portal. In this example, a dedicated sales representative receives an order for 5 60-watt light bulbs for floor lamps from Paul Sears at the Light and Design Company. But the dedicated sales representative is at home when receives the order. But because of Enterprise portal, he can enter the order even though Microsoft Dynamics AX is not loaded on the computer. After order is created, the sales order creation in the Microsoft Dynamics is confirmed. So to create the sales order in Dynamics AX Enterprise portal, we will go through the simplest way of the creation of the sales orders. We need to go to the sales part of the Enterprise portal. Select the customer account 4000, so we receive the order from our Light and Design customer, which is 4000. So we select this customer. In the common tasks, we can select create the sales order, but before that we can verify the details of our customer, and we also can see the contact people for our customer. So we will create the sales order, and under the common task select the create sales order link. So as you can see, the contact person already created, but we can change if we wish the contact person. Also, we can verify and or change the delivery address for our item. So we are currently happy with our item. Now we have to create a sales order line by selecting the item number, and then we'll click the lookup button. And my item number is PB lamp, so I will just type PB, and Microsoft Dynamics will select the list of all items that start with PB, and the item that was ordered was PB 60 US. I select this item. Create quantity 5, it was ordered 5 items. So I can look for the view totals by clicking the view totals link, and also I can add new lines to my sales order by clicking add new, or I can delete the existing line. So I need to create only one line, and I'm happy with my line, and I just click create the sales order. So now we can review our sales order by clicking show the sales order, and you can see the sales order was created in Dynamics AX. So now we can minimize the Enterprise portal and go to our Dynamics AX and select sales orders, and you can see that our sales order was already created for the item number PB 60 US and quantity 5 pieces. So that means that Dynamics AX is fully integrated, and when it's created in the Enterprise portal, it's directly created in the Dynamics AX. The sales order is saved in real time in Microsoft Dynamics AX. This enables other personnel to complete the picking, packing, and shipping of the order. So if you want to exercise or try it by yourself, you can find labs or exercises on page 284 in your manual. So you can try this exercise by yourself. Meanwhile, I will move back to my presentation. And we will talk first about the Access SQL data tables. Frequently in ERP systems, partners, consultants, controllers, or others must directly access and manipulate SQL data tables to customize, fix, or view data as it flows through the system. Microsoft Dynamics AX simplifies and expedites viewing table data. So, to access customer data, we will just move to our Dynamics AX, close the sales orders, and open the customer form. On the form, we can right-click and choose the setup. If you remember from our previous lessons, we were already talking about the setup form. So we go back, and on the Information tab of the User Setup form, you can see the form name, and we can display the Application Object Tree form for the form name by clicking the Edit button. So as you can see, the customer table opens automatically. So we can expand the data source, and in the data source folder you will see the list of all tables used in this form, in the customer form. So you can see it was the customer table. If I will right click on the customer table and select add-ins and go to the table browser, Dynamics AX will display all the table records the same way how they would be displayed in SQL in the table browser window. So you can use Tab key to move through the tabs. Also, in this form, you can modify and or delete records. So if I will click delete, the records will be deleted. Also, if I will select all records and click delete, the all records will be deleted. You have to be very careful how you're using this form because there is no restriction on the deletion on this form. So if the record will, if you will press delete, the record will be deleted without any warnings, and also it will be deleted in your SQL database, and it will be not restorable unless you have the database backup. Also, on the bottom window of this form, you can use SQL scripts, and you can perform SQL scripts. For example, now it's select from customer table. If I will type delete and underscore from customer table, it will delete all the records from the form. So please be very careful and don't try it at home if you are not sure and you don't know how to use SQL scripts. So in this form, you can view the query and manipulate the data directly in the SQL. I'll move to my presentation back, and we will talk about the optimistic concurrency control. Microsoft Dynamics AX uses optimistic concurrency control. The user interface-based updates frequently involve loading data from the database, presenting the data to the user, saving the changes a user has made to the data. Because of the potential for a lengthy time span between loading and updating of the data, database logs are usually not held. To make sure of data consistency in a multi-user environment, optimistic concurrency control is used to determine whether the data has been changed by other users before saving the changes to the database. The benefits of using optimistic concurrency control are: it does not require a second read from the database. It locks the rows only when updating is issued. This makes the locking period shorter. It does not have to compute all update columns because it must compare only one column value. It enforces the correct consistency semantics on the row basis when strictly used. So optimistic concurrency control does not require a second read from the database, locks the rows only when update is issued, does not have to compute all updated columns, and enforces the correct consistency semantics on the row basis when strictly used. So now, next slide, we'll go through the Microsoft SQL Server reporting services. Microsoft Dynamics AX is integrated with SQL Server 2005 reporting services. This gives customers an enterprise-capable reporting platform that includes a comprehensive environment for authoring, managing, and delivering reports to the whole organization. Enables business users to interact with data in an ad hoc manner and create original reports. SQL Server Reporting Services Architecture and Design. So in this figure we can see the common architecture of SQL Server Reporting Services deployed with Microsoft Dynamics AX. The SQL Server Reporting Services Architecture and Design includes Report Server, Report Manager, and Report Builder. So, Report Server. The Report Server is the main component of reporting services. The Report Server is implemented as a Microsoft Windows service and as a web service that provides an optimized and parallel processing infrastructure for processing and rendering reports. The web service exposes a set of programmatic interfaces that client applications can set to use report services. The Windows service provides initialization, scheduling, and delivery service, and server maintenance. The services work together and create a single report server instance. Through its subcomponents, the report server processes report requests and makes reports available for on-demand access or scheduled distribution. Report Manager. Report Manager is a web-based report access and management tool that enables access to Microsoft Dynamics AX reports through Microsoft Internet Explorer. It is used to administer a single report server instance from a remote location over an HTTP connection. Report Manager can also be used for its report viewer and navigation features, in addition to the following tasks: view, search, and subscribe to reports, create, secure, and maintain the folder hierarchy to organize items on the server, configure site properties and defaults, determine the availability of my reports to support publishing and creating reports in a personal workspace. Configure role-based security that determines access to items and operations. Configure report execution properties, report history, and report parameters. And create data-driven subscriptions that roll out reports to a large recipient list. Start Report Builder, a report design tool that is used for creating and modifying model-driven ad hoc reports. And the last one is Report Builder. And information workers have to access business data in order to make timely and effective decisions. They need a powerful yet uncomplicated tool that enables them to explore and find information without having to understand the underlying data source structures. To help reach these goals, Report Builder, a component of SQL Server 2005 reporting services, delivers powerful ad hoc reporting functionality. The Report Builder tool is built by using familiar Microsoft Office paradigms so that users can start quickly. With the Report Builder tool, users can build a table, matrix, or chart report by using a report layout template that contains predefined data regions. Select predefined report model that contains report items such as data fields, and then drag the report items into the data regions in the template. Apply filters to the reports to refine which data is displayed. Generate a query automatically to retrieve the requested data. Find data that is related to the content in this report. Add text and formatting to the report. Create new fields and calculations based on the data in the report model. Preview, print, and publish the report. So let's try and use the Report Builder and build the report by using the Report Builder. Report Builder we can access from both is the option provided in the Microsoft Dynamics AX or from the SQL Reporting Services portal. So let's find the menu option from our Dynamics AX. So if I will move back to my image, I can type the password. In the Microsoft Dynamics AX, if I will go to the Tools and then Reporting Tools and select the Report Manager, the SQL Server Reporting Service Dynamics folder will appear. Any models that have been published will appear. In this instance, there is one Dynamics account receivable used USD English United States. This model is used to create reports based on customer data. In this example, a customer transactions by dimension report will be created. So we have to click the Report Builder button to create a new report. But note, if this is the first time the user is accessing the Report Builder, he or she will be prompted to install the client. This is a small .NET connected application that will be downloaded and installed on the user's computer. So, but I already installed it, so I just click the Report Builder. Verify the connection. So the Microsoft Report Builder form has to appear okay. So in the Getting Started pane, we can select Accounts Receivable module. And under Report Layout, we can select a Matrix Cross tab, Table option. The Table Columnar option creates a columnar transaction type report, and the Chart option creates a graphical report. So I selected the matrix, and I will click OK. So you can see that the Report Builder displays the design surface for matrix report. In the left Explorer is the list of tables that form tables from Microsoft Dynamics AX, and this Explorer is broken in two panes. The top pane displays the list of tables, and the bottom one displays a list of fields from the table selected. So in the top Explorer, we'll select Accounts Receivable, folder, and then click Customer Transactions. On the bottom Explorer pane, we can select Customer Accounts field, Customer Transactions. Sorry. So we can select Customer Account field and move it into the left side of the matrix as a row group. So this will be a row group, the customer account. So also in the bottom pane, we can click the department field and move it as a column groups. So again, in the top Explorer pane, we can click the Other Field folder. We can find the Other Field folder, and select the Amount folder, and select the total amount, and move it to the drag and drop totals field. So we can add the report title by clicking the Click and Add Title form, and we can name it Customer by Department. So now we have to save our report by clicking Save button, and Save as Report form will appear, and we can call our report Customer by Department. And save our report. So now we can run report to view the report itself. To run the report, we just click the Run Report. So now the report is being generated, and you can see the report results on the screen. So we have customer accounts, the departments, and the totals for the departments. So also you can view this, while the report is saved, you can go back and always view this report. Also you can export, select format and export this report to the Excel spreadsheet. If you want to try this exercise by yourself, you can find labs on page 293 in your manuals. But for this exercise, you will need to have the SQL Server reporting services installed on your machines, or have the image installed as well. Oh, copied and installed the virtual PC image. So meanwhile, I will move to my presentation, which is not in the image. So again, the reporting services include the report server, report manager, and report builder. Report server is the main component of reporting services. Microsoft Windows servers and web servers include, and it processes report requests. Report manager helps with the web-based report access, and it's a report administration, viewing and navigation. And report builder, as we saw now, is a powerful ad hoc reporting functionality. Build table, or you can build tables, matrix or chart reports, preview, print, and publish reports. Now we will move to the business connector, and we will talk about the business connectors. The business connector is the Microsoft Dynamics AX component that enables external applications to interact with application object server instances. Microsoft Dynamics AX offers two versions of the business connector, a .NET version and a COM version. The COM business connector is offered primarily for backwards compatibility. .NET business connector. The .NET Business Connector provides a set of managed classes that facilitate access to X++ functionality in Microsoft Dynamics AX. It is installed with and used to support the functionality in the Enterprise Portal Server, Reporting Server, and Application Integration Server. The .NET Business Connector can be installed as a standalone component and used to develop third-party applications that integrate with Microsoft Dynamics AX. The COM Business Connector is an optional component that can be used to enable applications that are running outside Microsoft Dynamics AX to interact with an application object server instance. The COM Business Connector provides a set of COM interfaces to X++ functionality in Microsoft Dynamics AX. The COM Business Connector is included in Microsoft Dynamics AX for backward compatibility only. So now we will talk about the integration of other Microsoft applications in Dynamics AX with Dynamics AX. So you can see from these slides the amount of and flexibility of the applications that can be connected, and it's used with help of Application Integration Framework. The Application Integration Framework enables companies to integrate and communicate with other business processes and partners electronically. And Application Integration Framework we discussed in the introduction, if you remember, at the beginning of our course. Microsoft Dynamics AX offers extensive integration into the Microsoft technology stack. So we'll go through the Microsoft Outlook synchronization. Microsoft Dynamics AX lets users set up a detailed Microsoft Outlook profile which registers three types of messaging application programs interfaces, mapping objects: tasks, calendars, appointments, and contacts. After registering this profile, users can synchronize mapped fields between Microsoft Dynamics AX and Outlook. Defining the synchronization relationships between fields in each application is performed in Microsoft Dynamics AX. Users are additionally able to define a group of contacts they own and can be synchronized at the discretion of the user. In order to achieve more flexibility in the synchronization of Microsoft Dynamics AX, fields, tables, and mapping objects, a setup form is available to enable precise mapping. The following objects can be set up with Outlook integration. Contacts synchronized to a Microsoft Dynamics AX contact person table. Appointments synchronized to Microsoft Dynamics AX activities tables with type appointment. Tasks synchronized to Microsoft Dynamics AX activities table with type task. Each view presents the type of mapping objects that can be synchronized to Microsoft Dynamics AX. Each record in the view consists of two fields: the Microsoft Office Outlook field name, the direction of the synchronization between Microsoft Dynamics AX and Outlook. There are four options for the direction of synchronization: Microsoft Dynamics to Microsoft Office Outlook only, Microsoft Office Outlook to Microsoft Dynamics only, full synchronization, which is both directions, and none. Users can lock objects when they are being edited or synchronized, so others cannot alter the objects. This will avoid users overwriting each other's changes when they are modified or synchronizing the objects at the same time. Also, we will talk about the RFID infrastructure, which is radio frequency identification. Microsoft Dynamics AX can be easily integrated with Microsoft RFID infrastructure. The introductions of radio frequency introduction technology brings manufacturers and distributors improved visibility into their supply chain by increasing the number and ease of data capture points. This functionality will be available when Microsoft RFID infrastructure is released. So now we finished our session for today, and the second part was in this section we covered some of the features of Microsoft Dynamics AX that set this product apart from other applications. Differentiating features that were covered include MorphX, an integrated development environment with version control management and reverse engineering, Enterprise Portal, Business Connector, .NET and COM, Optimistic Concurrency Control, Reporting Services in SQL Server 2005, Application Integration Framework, integration with other Microsoft applications such as Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft Radio Frequency Identification infrastructure. So at the end of this section, on page 297 in your manuals, you can find test your knowledge questions that I would like to ask you to answer just after this session, so you can repeat or test if you memorize the subjects that we just went through. So I would like to finish our session for today, and if you have any questions, please type your questions in your questions field and I will try to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Margarita. I'd like to thank you for your attendance to this live meeting. I'd like to welcome you to tomorrow's finance session, week 5. You will receive the login details of this live meeting by the end of the day. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hello, Natalie. You okay?
I'm fine.
I just wanted to ask you to use the third session, if you want, if you could, please.
Sorry?
The third session. So now the session that we did to send it by email to everyone.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was talking too much. I can't talk anymore. So I'm sorry for my confusing English.
That's fine. Then we will use this session. That's okay.
Okay, we will use the third one.
Okay.
All
Great.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
You too.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.